seemed to me that there was a moment several years ago when your book came out, and God is Not Great, and Sam Harris and Daniel Dennett and Richard Dawkins, there's sort of four of you, made atheism acceptable, or at least made it a word that people could talk about.
Yes, and look, first of all, long may the illusion persist that I should be mentioned in the same breath as these great scientists and teachers and biologists and neuroscientists and so on, like Richard and Daniel Dennett and Lawrence Krauss and so many others, Steven Pinker, and people who've made real contributions to the sciences. I've done nothing of the sort. But yes, it is certainly true, there was a catalytic moment sometime in the beginning of this millennium where we were confronted at roughly the same time with a horrible resurgence of Islamic jihad, of Islam in its most crude form, West-minded, intolerant, fanatical, expansionist, and Messianic Jews hoping they could bring on the Messiah by stealing other people's land in Palestine, getting quite a lot of fanatical Christians to agree with them that that might indeed be an amusing way to bring on the apocalypse. A rogue state run by a criminal theocracy within measurable reach of a nuclear weapon. In other words, a thing we've all discussed since we were kids. What happens when a really bad guy gets hold of a really bad weapon? In other words, what happens when a millennial ideology acquires an apocalyptic arsenal? Well, we're about to find out. And that doesn't exhaust it. I mean, the very ominous developments in Russia, the reappearance of a xenophobic, chauvinistic, nationalist dictatorship with a police regime in Russia, with right at its side the black-cowled advisors of the Russian Orthodox Church who've become Putin's spiritual disguise and alibi. That, by the way, is something we should be keeping a very close eye on, wherever you look. And not to say, in the United States, people demanding that nonsense and pseudoscience be taught to children at taxpayers. So, I could go on, believe me, but time to push back against this. And my guess was that there were many people ready to join such a pushback, and I think simultaneously, or contemporaneously anyway, some of us were thinking the same thing for the same reasons, yeah.